Hello, my name is Jenny Matthews, and I'm going to be talking about separation anxiety today. Before I jump in to do that, I want to let you know that Dr. Jenna Edlund and I will be running our second workshop October 16th. It's a 3-week workshop for parents specifically with kids with anxiety or OCD. So we'll be talking all about how to support parents in helping their children. I'll touch on that a little bit at the end of the video as well, but you can visit my website, stateofmindtherapy.com, to learn more information. Okay, so separation anxiety. I'm going to talk about signs to look for and then some things that you can do to help your child. So first thing is you want to identify if this is a separation anxiety disorder or if this is normal separation anxiety. A lot of the times parents will assume that this is something the child will just outgrow, and so they might not seek the appropriate treatment to start with. So separation anxiety is developmentally normal for children, but it becomes a disorder when it's really interfering with some of their developmental milestones, or really interfering with their functioning, being able to go to school, not able to go to sleepovers. So when it's really interfering or not letting the parent able to leave the house, when it's impairing that level of functioning, it's really time to seek professional help. So some things that you want to pay attention to is some of the content of the child's fears around separation. Typically, it's fears of some kind of danger happening to somebody in the family. It could be fear that the child themselves is experiencing, that if the parent leaves, that they won't be able to cope and to deal, or something bad will happen, like I'm going to get sick, or something bad could happen to me and my mom's not going to be there to help me. Or it could be something bad's going to happen to the parent during the separation. So the child becomes very fearful of mom getting into an accident, or dad dying, something like that. And they feel better if they're able to be with them to make sure that everything's going to be okay. And then also fears around the parent not coming back are also possible as well. Really vivid nightmares around separation, and big fears, death related, or any kind of separation related issues in their dreams can also be a common sign. Another sign that you want to look for is physical complaints. So child's going to complain often of headaches and stomach aches, maybe even dizziness, nausea. Those physical complaints are often anxiety related. And then, of course, as I already mentioned, avoidance behaviors. Are they avoiding any kind of separation? Very common that children are going to avoid school. They're going to avoid sleepovers. And these children are not going to see this as a problem. They're going to say like, oh, I just like being with my mom, right? And of course, moms are wonderful and staying with your mom is great. But knowing that your child's not necessarily going to see this as a problem is really important. And that you as the parent are going to have to initiate the treatment here. Okay, so if you already know your child struggles with separation anxiety, you might want to know, what can I do about it? So here's a few tips. One, you want to help your child to name their anxiety. This is really helpful in teaching your child how to talk back, which I'll mention in a minute. So you want to help them name it. So it could be any name that they want. Maybe it's Mr. Bossy, or dictator, or worry bug, worry bully, whatever they want, but use that as your shared language in your household about how to talk about your child's anxiety. So then next is you want to then help your child learn how to talk back to it. This is really important because we want to teach a child that the worry is lying to them, and it's kind of taking over, their life really, and taking over their brain. So helping them learn how to talk back to the anxiety will be really helpful. And there's a few different ways to do this. They can talk back by expecting worry to show up. So for example, if worry always shows up when they go to school, your child can learn to, recognize that and go, oh, there you are, Mr. Worry. You usually show up about this time. Or maybe it is taking care of the anxiety in more of a compassionate way. So maybe they go on a sleepover and they might say to their worry, it's okay to feel scared, but I know I'm safe. So that way they're kind of empathizing with the worry and accepting it and moving on. Then the third, they could get bossy, or I sometimes call it sassy with some of my kiddos. Is get a little bit bossy with it. Say, scram, get out of here. You're taking away all my fun. I'm not having this anymore. Really help them to get into it. I think that's a really fun thing to do, and kids find it kind of silly when they practice talking back to it. So those are some examples of ways that you can help your child talk back to the anxiety. Really help them to feel empowered by it. This is really important for you as the parent too, because one of the things that's really common for parents is they get pulled into providing a lot of reassurance, asking a lot, or their child is asking a lot of worry questions, and you're feeling like you have to answer 1,000 questions. And this can be a really great way to interrupt that by saying, oh, that sounds like that's Mr. Worry talking right now. What could you say instead? Maybe we can come up with something together. So this way, it takes you out of the equation and helps your child learn the skills they need to talk back to worry instead of you having to do it for them. The other tip that I have is help them challenge the worry. So help them challenge it by setting up some situations that they can practice tolerating the anxiety and learning that what they are afraid might happen is very unlikely to happen. So this, you want to really look at what are all the places or the things that your child's avoiding, and then set up little challenges around that. You want to go really slow and, really reward and encourage your child to take these challenges. Some examples could be you start with a date night, and maybe a next step is the child stays with grandma and grandpa, and then maybe moving on to a friend's house. Maybe then if they have some separation anxiety around school, you're practicing some trial runs, by just practicing your drop-off routine. Practice, even walking up to the door and saying goodbye. Anything like that. Also, if your child is in a lot of contact with you throughout the day because of their separation anxiety, you're going to want to work on reducing that. So you might look at giving them little tickets, or maybe it's tokens, whatever you want to do, and they have to exchange those for a response. So for example, if they, on average, if they're reaching out to you 10 times throughout the day while they're at school, you might say, okay, this week you get 8 tokens. If you want to, text me or call me, you have to turn in a token. And they get to choose then if it's worth it for them. And at the end of the week, they get to cash those tokens or tickets, whatever it is, in for some kind of reward. So this way it really helps cut back on the amount of times that they are seeking that reassurance from you. So I mentioned reassurance, and I didn't go into it a whole lot, but as I mentioned, this is a really, really common thing that parents get wrapped into that's really, really taxing and exhausting, and it actually does strengthen the anxiety disorder. So this is something that you as the parent are doing. It's really important to work on reducing that, because for one, I should say, it's incredibly normal. This is what any parent does, or this is what we do with our friends, right? If we're worried about something, it's a very normal response. But when it's an anxiety disorder, it's very strengthening of that, because it's not teaching the child the skills that they need to talk back to their anxiety. It's also creating a dependency on you. So it's just interfering with their learning overall. So you really want to work on reducing that. And that is a lot of what we talk about in our workshop that's coming up in October. Throughout the 3 weeks, we're going to be talking a lot about what kind of accommodations parents will oftentimes make for their child's anxiety and how that actually is interfering with their progress, and ways that you can change that, and actually helping you set up some individualized plans for your family to then utilize at home. So as I mentioned, Dr. Jenna Edlund and I will be doing this, and we really loved it last summer, and so we're going to do it again, helping you really get some concrete skills on how to help your child. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to post them. I'm happy to provide any resources or give any tips and feedback. And again, if you're interested in registering for that workshop, you can visit my website, stateofmindtherapy.com, to register. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.